Hi, everyone, and welcome to week 13. This is April 13th, 2020, so you should be watching this on a Monday or whenever it is that you watch these videos. So, this lecture, we will be going over genres and also designing what you write. I also wanted to give you guys a brief overview of the week, and we'll take a look at the Project 4 grading rubric as well. I've got a mini lecture planned for choosing genres, and there's also design. I forgot to include that in this PowerPoint. Sorry about that. It's choosing genres and designing what you write. I will introduce the free write activity for the week, and then I will go over just a brief overview of what you can expect in the next lecture. All right, so let's get started here. This is snipped directly from our syllabus. So we're in week 13, April 13th. So choosing genres, I decided to combine these 2 days into one video because they're very similar. And the whole point of this multi-genre advocacy campaign, that's the unit we're in, I want you guys to get comfortable with the idea of document design and moving beyond that traditional academic essay and thinking about how you might design business documents, right? So we're thinking about business letters, brochures, posters, that kind of thing. These are all things that you might use in your college career moving forward. You might use it in the workforce. And ultimately, I just think it's a very useful tool to have, being able to understand how design works. All right. And then my final this will be a very short lecture, writing in multiple modes, the idea of multimodal writing. We'll talk about that. So this week, I want you guys to make sure that you are carefully reviewing the Project 4 instructions and rubric. This final project is due on May 4th by 11:59 p.m. I'm sorry, you're going to have to excuse my nasally voice. I am sort of allergic to cats, and we have two, so I feel like I'm dying. Okay, so please don't leave this project till the last minute, you guys. There are a lot of moving parts to this, and it's very important that you just work on it a little bit at a time, okay? Last week, I posted a Project 4 resources document as well as a video. So do take some time to review those as well. And of course, reach out to me if you have any questions or concerns. I already had one question. Somebody asked if they needed to use the same topic for Project 3, or as they did for Project 3, their paper with this final project. My answer to that is that was the idea. You have already researched a topic extensively, a topic or an issue, and the idea is to kind of apply all that information to your very own advocacy campaign, okay? If you don't think that your topic will work for this project, or if you're sick of it and you want to try a new topic, please do reach out to me. But I will warn you that that is going to be a lot of work because essentially you'll be researching a brand new topic, okay? So I tried to keep this as simple as possible. But again, just reach out to me, all right, if you have any questions or concerns. Okay, so let's take a look at the Project 4 grading rubric, and I've already posted this to Web Campus. I actually think I posted it last week. Time is running together for me now. I barely know what day it is anymore. So there's that. But here is the official Project 4 grading rubric that is also posted to Web Campus. I sent out a message advising you on this. So, like I said, this is a large project and there are a lot of moving pieces, okay? So, what I did with this grading rubric is I divided it up by section, okay? You have 4 different things you need to do for this project. So, you have an open letter or a letter to the editor. So, here's my rubric here. Letter of appeal, the visual/non-written advocacy documents, and then the final reflection letter to the instructor. Okay, so please take some time to review the requirements. Essentially, so it's worth 25 points per requirement for a total of 100 points for the project. So read these top categories here. This is everything I'm looking for, all right? And if you adhere to the things here, and essentially if you put in the effort and you do a good job on this project, if you read the directions, you really should not have trouble getting a good grade for this or a higher score. Okay, so look through this, especially pay attention to formatting guidelines. I found this to be kind of a continuous issue throughout the semester, is just not paying attention to formatting. All right, so if something asks for a business letter, do take the time to make sure you know what a business letter is, what it looks like. And if you have no idea or if you need the extra help, do ask me, okay? That's what I'm here for. And now that we're completely online, I feel that I don't want to say I have a ton of extra time, but I am available through email, okay? So take the time to go through these requirements and familiarize yourself with what is expected of you, all right? And this is just the rubric, guys. I've posted the assignment guidelines to Web Campus. So we're gonna go over there real fast. Student view, assignments, oops, project 4, okay. So here's our instructions. So with the open letter or a letter to the editor, you're supposed to be responding to an opposing argument. Your letter of appeal, you're supposed to be reaching out to an organization or a group or an individual to act as an advocate or an ally for you. And then you have the non-written or the visual portion, and then the reflection letter. Okay, so there's that. Yeah, again, just make sure you're reviewing that rubric, familiarizing yourself with it, and getting to work. All right, because again, you don't want to leave this till the last minute. Okay, I think I've gone over that quite enough, and I think I've repeated myself quite enough. So let's move on here into genres. All right, so genre should be a fairly familiar word to you at this point. And genres are quite literally everywhere. The music you listen to is categorized or divvied up by genre. All right, you've got hip hop, country, folk, rock, etc. Video games also have their own genres. So you've got your RPGs, the first person shooters, simulators. It goes on, right? Same thing with movies and TV shows and books. All right, fantasy, nonfiction, academic, romance, young adult. You've got your drama for TV and thrillers. All right. And it's also important to note that within these broader categories, there are also a lot of subgenres. And if any of you subscribe to Netflix, I'm sure you've seen this. There are so many categories, right? So those would be classified as those subgenres, all right? So within, I'm trying to think of an example right here. So within the romance, so romantic movies, right? That can be divvied up into subgenres such as romantic comedies or a drama romance or historical romance, that sort of thing. Okay, so genres are categorizations. We use genres in order to classify things, all right? And this can include music, food, books, movies, video games, and more, all right? But for the sake of this course, we're going to be looking at how writing can be classified, okay? So writing also has its own genres, and each genre has select features that you can use in order to guide you during the writing process, all right? And this is available in your textbook within the chapter for this week's reading. Okay, it mentions and discusses several common genres found within the academic setting, arguments, analyses, narratives, reviews, proposals, annotated bibliographies, and we've done quite a few of these, all right? So what you recently just did was an argument paper, okay? A researched argument paper. That's one example of a genre. You wrote narrative letters at the beginning of the semester. You just did an annotated bibliography a couple weeks ago, all right? Those are all examples of genres within writing. It's also important to know that genres can be flexible and they can also evolve, all right? So when you're looking at a writing assignment for this class or for any other class, it is important to look at the directions, okay? And determine genre from there. Sometimes it's spelled out, right? Sometimes a professor or an instructor will say, you are writing a researched argument paper. Boom, there's your genre. But sometimes these assignment guidelines may be a little bit more open. So it is important that you consider, the discipline in which you are writing in, the topic, the purpose, and your audience. Okay, moving on to designing what you write. So part of Project 4 asks you to design a primarily non-written document for your advocacy campaign. I believe this is number 3 on the instructions, okay? So whatever you choose to design, and I do have a few examples coming up in the next lecture. It really is open as long as it's primarily visual, okay, you guys? But it's important that you are thinking rhetorically about design, okay? What does this mean? It means that you need to think about your audience, your purpose, the genre, the stance, the context, and also the media in which you're working within. So when I say media, I'm talking about, are you working for something that will be primarily print, physical, right? Are you going to print it out? Or is it completely online? Okay. All right. Designing what you write. Audience. So what kind of design elements might your audience need or expect? Okay. So would you need to include a larger font, right? For those who have trouble seeing, extra illustrations, video. What kind of elements might undermine your authority, right? What elements might not appeal to your chosen audience? So for example, if you are trying to reach a more like a business type audience, right, you might not want to include clip art cartoons. Okay, that could undermine your authority if you're doing some kind of business presentation. On the other end, if you are presenting something for elementary school kids, you might want to include more fun elements like cartoons, colorful fonts, lots of pictures, that kind of thing. So it's important that you are considering your audience. Purpose. What kind of design elements can help you achieve your purpose? And I'm thinking about an infographic right now. So for an infographic, usually there is minimal text, right? But there are a lot of graphics and it's pleasing to look at, okay? So there's one example there. Genre, it depends on what you're writing in, okay? So for example, an infographic has certain features that you might need to follow. A photo essay has a different set of features, all right? So it's important you're looking into these things and you're researching them and you're imitating common practices for these types of things. Okay. Stance. When I say stance and when I think of stance, I think of your tone as a writer. Okay, how do you want to come across to your audience? Okay, do you want to come across as an expert in your field, a business professional? Do you want to come across as more laid back, that kind of thing? Context, are there any specific requirements for the assignment? So for example, in project 4, your business letter should be at least 1 page, single spaced. Context, at least in this kind of setting, you do want to make sure that you are looking at the project instructions and adhering to those. And finally, media, what kind of media will you use? So for this particular class, since we are online right now, I'm sorry, I hear my neighbors being extremely loud upstairs and I don't know what they're doing. I don't want to think about it because it is 1 a.m. Okay, so you'll be creating and designing your projects using online materials. However, not all projects need to be web-based. So when we are eventually on campus again, you might want to design like print materials or printed posters, that kind of thing. Okay, so there are a couple of supplemental videos posted to our web campus page, and that is designing documents and beginning graphic design fundamentals. These are posted under Unit 3. Um, these are excellent videos, you guys, and I am not an expert in graphic design in any way or document design. I know how to write a letter. I know how to make a PowerPoint, right? But these videos do a great job of expanding on what your textbook says and what I'm just kind of talking about in theory here, all right? So do take some time, pause this video if you need to, and watch those 2 videos. Okay. We're not advancing forward. Okay, here we go. So here is the free write for the week. Do make sure you've watched the supplemental videos and read the chapter in your textbook entitled Designing What You Write. This is beginning on page 743. And then I want you to answer the following. I want you to find a design that you think is attractive or not. A book cover, a magazine spread, a brochure, a poster, a blog, a website, whatever you want, as long as it's work or school appropriate. And I want you to analyze its use of font, colors, and visuals. What works and what doesn't, and how would you revise the design if you could? Okay, and this should be at least 250 words. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video and complete that if you want to. Okay, next class. Again, whenever you're watching these, it doesn't have to be right away. It can be tomorrow. Just as long as it's getting done, you will want to watch the week 13.2. So that's writing in multiple modes, part 1. And then, of course, begin your work on project 4. All right. I'm going to move into a different room for our next lecture, but I will see you all in the next lecture if I can close out of this. Okay, yep, I will see you guys in the next lecture.